Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you're listening. Monday, May 13th, 2024. And as always, we got a load to cover. As you know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you, whether it's your job, your industry, the markets, the economy, them. You know what we mean by them. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. We'll also post it on all these podcast apps. And if you don't follow us on X, you really should. And if you want to email me, just be nice. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention, because what is our number one goal? Is to protect you from losing your capital. First and foremost, good markets, bad markets. Our goal is to make sure that you never get busted up with your capital. January of 2021. I don't know what buttons were pushed. I don't know what lever was pulled. But I do know a stock named GameStop went from $17 to $483 in a matter of days, where the world was going crazy. Wall Street yelling and screaming over it. And it turns out it was this Reddit chat board where people yap, and they took advantage of what is known as a gargantuan short position. What does that mean? People were betting on GameStop in a very big way to go to nothing because of how bad the business was. And they were able to gather enough to juice it and cause one of the greatest short squeezes of all time. 17 up to 483. In fact, I'm going to give you the exact dates while I got you. On January 8th, it was 17, between 17 and 18. On January 12th, 21 was between 19 and 20. Then on January 13th, it hit a low of 20, a high of 38, last was 31. And then it went to 483. The day it was 483 was January 28th. It hit 483. The low that day was 112, closed at 193. Within 2 weeks, it was down to $38. You feel me? And during that time, as I told you, and this is a definitive true story, we don't make things up here. I got a call at the office from somebody who I don't even know. We answer our phones. I answer my phones, asking me whether they should buy GameStop. It was the day after it hit 483. And I don't remember exactly how the day went, but the lady was about, I'm going to guess, in her 70s, maybe even in the 80s. And I still remember when the call came in, the stock was $310. And I explained to this young lady that just 2 weeks before it was $20. You would be paying $310. And I asked her, do you think there's risk in that? And her answer was to me, well, what if it goes to 500? Not caring at all that something, an entity, forget whether it's GameStop or whatever, just went from 20 to 483. She thought because it was 483 and it was down to 300, there was value. I'm not making this up. While I was on the phone with her, the stock went from 310 to 330, and you can hear it in her voice how pissed off she was that I would not give her a yes, and in a huff, she hung up on me. Quite the rude. I never heard from her again. I don't know anything what she did. Hopefully, if she bought in, well, let me put it best. That day the stock closed at 325. The next day it closed at, and we're not making this up, 225. The next day it closed at 90. And typically what happens to people like that is they end up in the web and they say, screw it, I'll hold it to zero. That was GameStop. They did a 4-for-1 split GameStop. And subsequently did the slow death from 480 down to 40. Last I looked, that would be in the 90s. It had dropped. GameStop. AMC Theaters experienced something like that. AMC Theaters went from, I don't know if it did a split or not, but let's use the numbers as of this second. You know what? Actually, I can tell if it did a split. If you give me a second, because I have to make a very important point. Let's go back to 2021. As I do that, look how I do this right on radio with you. Yes, we can do that. So, AMC. Let's fast forward to the fact that the stock is down 99% from the highs going into the last few days. No, really, 99%. No, that's not a typo. 99%. You got me? 99%. The stock hit a high on a major short squeeze at almost $400. It hit a low recently at $2.38. That was caught in a short squeeze also on a company, movie theaters, losing a lot of money. And we're not even commenting on the companies, by the way. We're commenting on the stock and you. So last week, GameStop, a week ago Friday, it went up from 12 to 17 on very heavy volume. And I was thinking to myself that day, well, who's playing around with this? I have no idea who Roaring Kitty is. Roaring Kitty. But it's somebody's moniker on Twitter and maybe other social medias, Reddit. I looked into it and it says the person's name is Keith Gill. Never met him. Keith Gill, for the first time in years, posted on Twitter. The stock of GameStop, which closed at 17.5 on Friday, opened around, let's call it 27, hit a high of 38 today because of a man with the moniker Roaring Kitty just put up a picture, a couple of pictures. And I'm thinking to myself, first and foremost, somebody front ran what he did today, 7 or 8 days ago. But the bigger picture is one dropped, let's call it 92%. The other one dropped 99%. And I'm going to use a word, and I can use it generally because I'm not aiming at any one person. The idiots have not learned their lessons. Even though these two entities dropped 92 and 99% from their highs off their froth highs. Off of, we're not making this up, I am not the Onion, I am not the Babylon Bee. Off of somebody by the name of Roaring Kitty on Twitter posted up some pictures. Up next, my message, the usual. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
So, this guy posted on Twitter, and he hadn't posted since June 18th of 21. The first is a picture of somebody sitting back in a red chair and then sitting up straight. The next one looks like something Wolverine from that movie. The next one is Ferris Bueller at the end of the movie when he comes out and says, "You still here?" The next one is a video of I don't know what movie it is. Looks like Game of Thrones, actually. The next one is a video of, I don't know. Then a car. I'm going to stop. Ladies and gentlemen, whoever this is trying to make himself famous again. And he already has. Because of idiots. And when I say idiots, they're delving into stocks that they know drop 92 and 99%, but want to jump on board while they are moving. They don't care that this person of Roaring Kitty sucked everybody. I take that back. People sucked themselves in. I can't even blame this guy. And I can't even blame him again for people jumping on two things that drop 92 and 99%. Now, what's my usual line? I want you to listen carefully. I am not saying to buy, sell, short, or cover. I am not telling you what to do, but I'm going to repeat the line that I mentioned when any of these things went ape crap to the upside. And that simple line is, just don't be the last one in. The next line, they all eventually go back to where they came from. The next line, if you do get in and things go awry, you had best become a trader. That's Trader, not Traitor. Am I surprised this is happening again? No. I'm surprised it's happening with the same names. But then again, they still have large short positions, and they're getting taken advantage of. You got me? Why am I bringing this up? Let me repeat again. Listen carefully. They all, without fail, eventually go back where they came from. AMC today closed at $5.19, up 78% on 2,592% volume. Average daily volume is 18 million. It traded 468 million shares. The float is only 260 million. I don't know what it does tomorrow. I don't know whether it takes a crap from here. I don't know whether it doubles from here. Don't be the last one in. GameStop today closed at $30.46, up 74%. Average daily volume 8 million. It did 176 million shares. There is a 8 times a 65 million share short on that one. I felt I had to bring this up today. Do you know why? Because I know Wall Street. They will have a megaphone on this crap. They'll have a megaphone. Amazingly, they raised a few other stocks also, but I wanted to just stick with those two. Oh, Reddit stock was up $4.66 over this. If this roaring kitty bought into this thing 10 days ago and got it moving and then pulled this, you know, if he's not in my business, I don't think he can go to jail. If he's not my business, I don't think that's a violation, is it? Well, maybe it could be. That's an if. We're not accusing anything of anybody except we know when there's insider trading before a buyout, when we see volume up quadruple 3 days before as the stock's up 10%. Or major options players are buying calls left and right of the company that's to be acquired. Let me repeat. We are not telling you to buy, sell, short, or cover. We ask you to remember what happened before, and that these stocks dropped 99 and 92% from the highs. We have no idea what happens tomorrow. We don't know whether AMC, let's see, AMC is $5, had an all-time high of 393. I have no idea whether it goes back to 393 or goes back to $2 tomorrow. Just don't be the last one in. And know your business. Use your own little psychological indicators. Sleep indicators, they call them. We expect other names to show up, which takes me to the other part of the equation. So, Gary, in the past you have said when there's extreme froth and speculation, that does not happen at the bottoms. And you allude to the fact that more often than not it happens near the tops. Well, that is correct, and that would be a very good question, and of course a very good answer. But the other part of the equation is extreme froth and speculation, which is sentiment. And extreme sentiment has never been what we call a pinpoint indicator, meaning just because you have massive froth and speculation does not mean the market's going to top right then and there. If you recall, GameStop, that's my music, up next. If you recall, GameStop, ... That's up next on this, the one and only Investor's Edge.
Listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
As we said, this type of froth and speculation is something to think about. Put in the file manager. But it's not pinpoint. In other words, GameStop topped out in June of 21. Excuse me, right at the beginning of February of 21. Kind of got a retest in June of 21. But the NASDAQ did not top out until November of 21 and actually had another move up. The S&P topped out about the same time. And then all hell broke loose. We'll keep watching the market. If the big indices stay above the 50-day, good. If they go below the 50-day, bad. And we'll let the market decide. But this should be in the file manager. Ridiculous froth and speculation, and in the same crap that the idiots did not learn their lesson. But by the way, let me finish on this note. Hey, maybe they go a lot higher, and maybe people are going to make a lot of money off of it. Hey, you have been notified by your handsome and buffed host. You have been notified. We'll keep on watch for you. We promise. Market didn't do a lot today. Dow was down 81, S&P down 1, NASDAQ up 47, NASDAQ went up 100, up 37, and that is Apple. Gapped up on AI news, came back down. AI news, the same AI news today, right back up a little bit. Still trading where it was in December of 21. Still has the issue of sales are down year over year. But the AI is alive and well, and we'll see where it takes us. That helped the NASDAQ 100, I must state for the record. NVIDIA little bounce today. Netflix continued up after gapping down. In the Dow today, Home Depot down 5 and change. They report this week. Amgen down 4. They were up on drug news and whatever. Financials pulling back a little bit. McDonald's down 3 and change. Rallied up the other day, and I found out why. With what are they doing, a $5 meal or something? Well, it came right back down. And by the way, the restaurants are starting to act a little bit iffy. Half the restaurants are in a bear market. The other half that are strong, starting to have a little distribution. We'll see. A constant right now is China and emerging markets. China had another good day, but Alibaba reports tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. In case you don't know, the Chinese government announced they bought $41 billion worth of their own stock, and they're continuing to buy more, and that's what's helping out. Whether Whether or not it's other things like recovery this, recovery that, I don't know. Gold pulled back today. We bought gold, sold gold, made profits. We bought gold, sold gold, made 20 cents. Right now we're agnostic on gold. The gold miners have started to act a little bit better than the metal, but tomorrow, since we sold, probably gaps up. Why would it gap up tomorrow? If the inflation number's too hot, the dollar goes up. Is too light, dollar goes down, gold goes up. But I'm not going to sweat it too much. That's the story there. Earnings this week. You know how I've been saying 12 and 13 pages of earnings? This week there's only 2 pages of earnings. Yeah, only 2. Of note, just to let you know, is Home Depot in the Dow, Alibaba tomorrow. That'll be important. Cisco in the Dow, not as important as used to be. Walmart in the Dow. Oh, Baidu, the 2 big China names are reporting this week. And a third, JD.com. Under Armour reports, Deere reports, Canada Goose reports. Boy, those jackets are expensive. I bought my son one of those jackets. Very expensive. Because I'm a good dad. And I still remember the last time I was in London, they were really protesting the Canada Goose shop. Why? Canada Goose. A little more of note today. And I don't know if I don't think I'm saying this as a negative, but as a heads up. All this AI talk and all the announcements of AI, and I mean inundated with announcements of AI now. Well, it better be as good as a good at Nathan's hot dog. Because I got to tell you, I'm always wary of the overdone. I'm always wary of the overdone. Apple never announced anything AI, and now all their announcements are AI now. Everything includes AI, and I'm not saying they shouldn't, but the announcements are being repetitive AI. And also, you got to give a little blame to the analysts taking advantage of it also. We'll let you know. Methinks, we think, not AI, but the handling on Wall Street of AI may be getting overdone now. I take that back, is getting overdone. Announcement after announcement after announcement after announcement after announcement after announcement. AI. Better be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Nathan's hot dog. New York pizza. Seriously. Or else. Just letting you know. Yields back down a little bit more today, 4.481 on the 10-year. That's what matters most, not the Fed. And again, tomorrow and Wednesday, there are going to be some important reports on inflation that will, I believe, move the needle. And I must tell you, I have no clue which way right now, because the market's not in an uptrend and it's not in a downtrend. It's range bound. They dropped it, brought it back. Overall uptrend, near term, straight lineage with one nice dip. If we break out of range for the big indices, there you go. And maybe it does that tomorrow. Maybe it does that tomorrow. What would have to happen is a nice, relaxing, easy number on inflation, which has interest rates tank, market goes up. And even though I did a webcast this weekend for my peeps with I can't begin to tell you how many stocks in bad shape. The indices are back above the 50-day, and they are set up they're poised to potentially break out if they want to the upside. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll be on it. 8:30 a.m., I believe, the inflation number. Well, tomorrow's either the PPI or CPI, consumer price or producer price. And remember, we don't trust the stats. Remember, through the decades, they have changed the inflation formula to make it lower, and they've changed the formula on GDP to make it higher. That's our government. But we deal with the reaction to the news. And again, that'll be tomorrow. What was interesting today, we had a bunch of low beta stocks that we were following. And a few of them broke out last week on no volume, though. They all tucked their head ins today like frightened turtles. Tomorrow's another day. Little tidbits on the market. What else is going on in the world? Well, I had to bring out my little list here, and I wanted to repeat to you some of the things Warren Buffett had said, and something that has nothing to do with the market that I loved. Brilliant advice from Warren Buffett. Ask yourself, who would you want to spend the last day of your life with, and then meet with them as often as you can? You ever think about that? That's a pretty good one from Warren. Up next, more tidbits. News of the day. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
All right, let's go. Warren Buffett, there have been times in my life I've been awash in so many opportunities I could have invested everything by nightfall, and then there's other times like now when we just haven't seen anything that makes sense that moves the needle. As we've told you, the Warren Buffett indicator is the fact that the market, based on his own indicator, the price of the market's in the trees. Just letting you know. In the news, San Francisco's real estate is crashing. That's Nancy Pelosi's district. She never gets asked about it. Just letting you know. Once the crown jewel of the West Coast appeared on the brink of collapse, and it seems like nobody's sounding the alarm, of course not, because politics. Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, did not mince words when he says, when he compared San Francisco's woes to those in New York City, calling the Bay Area in far worse shape. And it shows pictures. I'm looking at the thing here. And things... consider the penthouse at a San Francisco Four Seasons residential, initially listed November 2020 for $9.9 million. Nobody's buying it for $3.75 million now. Just going through the numbers for you kids. And a lot of these things have in common, which takes me to St. Louis. In case you don't know, St. Louis becomes ghost town, where $205 million size skyscrapers are selling for under $4 million, and a decaying downtown. Another city. What do they all have in common? Speaking of that, in the news, and again, we don't make this up. We really don't make these things up because these are cities, and it's very weird. You know who Stephon Diggs is? He's a wide receiver for, I think, Buffalo, and he may be going elsewhere. He has a brother named Darius. He's been sentenced to 2 years of probation. Felony robbery, and beaten the living crap out of people with 2 other men. And there's video of it. A vicious, disgusting attack. No jail. No jail. No jail. You know how much that is going on around this country right now in different cities? A ton. A ton. A ton. Charles Bronson, you know who he is, right? Right? In many movies, he was a vigilante. There is no doubt in my mind. Seriously. By the way, he was born Charles Buczynski, Charles Bronson. There is no doubt in my mind that there's going to come a point in time where some criminal beats the hell out of a girl or rapes a girl or whatever to anybody, and a dad or a mom is going to show up to that person's place that was let out of jail that was let out with no jail. They're going to just, it's going to be vigilante justice. We're going to have vigilante justice. I'm reading about it every day. Every darn day. It's amazing. Movies are death wish, by the way. What these judges, if it happened to a judge's family, maybe, I gather at that point, they wouldn't let the thugs out. In the news, they even walked out on Jerry Seinfeld at a college commencement address. Jerry Seinfeld, because he's a threat. I put up a tweet that got a lot of response, and I figured I'd say it to you here because it really is true, and I've said it here before. Because we've seen a lot of these protests proliferating, and of course, it's the Antifas and all kinds of other snot-nosed idiots and organizations. We just do not want you to forget, and here's my tweet, do not forget 99% plus of us are not racist, anti-Semitic ass clowns. The 99% plus of us are just trying to do better for ourselves and family, going about our business, creating, producing, loving, and treating all non-racist, non-anti-Semitic people equally. I would just want you to remember that. These people are protesting what they consider to be violence with violence. We just want you to remember that. Amazingly, they called them queers from somewhere blocked an entrance to Disney World this past weekend while I was in New York. And as I say to you on this show, tic-tac-toe. You couldn't even talk to them. You can show them videos of gay people being hung in Palestine, being stoned in Palestine. And they'll say it's artificial intelligence and not real, while defending Hamas and terrorists. The BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, still refuses to call Hamas terrorists. It's so weird out there. Tic-tac-toe proliferates. Just letting you know. Had to bring that up. In the news, Ford losing $1.3 billion on electric vehicles in the first quarter of 24. We're just letting you know. I was at a Mercedes dealership the other day. They can't sell any of their Mercedes electric vehicles. They're marking them down left and right. EVs. If there's anything Trump said this weekend I liked, he said he'll take the EV mandates and shove it up the charging station. All right. Lessons learned. Be careful. You have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for joining. Same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.